When did you first realize that, probably for a while you thought you could fix Michael, you could help him? When did you realize that you don't have the power to do that?
It's been a long process, to be totally honest, because I think even still to this day, I'll have conversations with Michael where I'm like, oh, well, if you just do this, maybe you'll feel that way. And it's not fair to him because there's not a fix necessarily, right?
Right.
You're born with it in a way, and in other ways, yeah, I can help, but I can't be that person that he can go to lay it all out on the table.
Michael, Nicole, it's great to see you both. It's been a trying 10 months during the pandemic for people. I know my anxiety has been quite ramped up. You've said it's been a year of ups and downs. Just tell me about the year.
In a nutshell, it's a year of unknown, right? Like that's the biggest thing. One day I can wake up and I can feel like I'm on top of the world and I can do absolutely anything and everything. And the next day I can wake up and not want to get out of bed. So for me, it's kind of fighting myself at times, fighting that little voice in your head that pops in every now and then. And the one thing that I've tried to do is just stay on a routine.
That documentary that you did that was so good last year, Michael, I loved it, Weight of Gold. And, I found it interesting. You talk about severe isolation, decades of training, being in the pool. And I know there was a point where you only saw yourself as that guy in the pool, that swimmer, and not even really as a human being. And I wondered if somebody asked you right now, who is Michael Phelps, what you would say?
I think at times, I would be like, why do people still only see me as a swimmer? Like I'll have a few comments thrown at me left and right, oh, a few months out, I guess you're going to jump back into the pool again, aren't you? And I'm like, come on, dude. Like, no, like I get you might be trying to be funny, but that's not me. Like, that's not who I am. I look at myself as, a dad of three, a husband, somebody who is trying to, do whatever I can to prevent as many suicides as I can and talk about mental health because it's something that's real in my life and it's real every day. So, I have an understanding what people go through and I know how challenging it is.
Yeah. You've been a real hero of mine. We've talked about mental health on this show many times, and I just think you're wonderful for speaking out. Same thing with DeMar DeRozan or Kevin Love or Demi Lovato. The list goes on and on. But the truth is, my new hero, no, hold on, wait, let me finish. My new hero is Nicole. Yes. Because Nicole did an interview for Today Parenting that absolutely blew my mind. You and me can talk all day long about what's going on in our heads, but finally Nicole steps up to the plate and talks about the dynamic and the impact that we have on a family and on spouses and on family members and on kids and on others. And Nicole, I thought that was so incredible. And thank you so much for partaking in that. What was the reaction to that interview?
I get choked up about it because it's been amazing. I mean, I've had people reach out to me from around the world, good friends who their friends have come to them, or we have a home down in Cabo and there's people on property there that had no idea Michael was struggling. And, and they've reached out too. We need to change the way that we look at people who are struggling, but we also need to change the way that we look at people who are helping those that are struggling.
Right. And when did you first realize that, probably for a while you thought you could fix Michael, you could help him? When did you realize that you don't have the power to do that?
It's been a long time. It's been a long process, to be totally honest, because I think even still to this day, I'll have conversations with Michael where I'm like, oh, well, if you just do this, maybe you'll feel that way. And it's not fair to him because there's not a fix necessarily, right?
Right.
You're born with it in a way, and in other ways, yeah, I can help, but I can't be that person that he can go to lay it all out on the table.
Yeah, there's been times where I've had panic attacks and I've literally left my wife and small children in public. I've just ran away like a scared little boy because the fight or flight was so imminently real to me. Right. And with that comes a lot of shame, not just being a father, but being a guy. What advice do you say to people watching right now who are close to somebody, living with somebody who's struggling?
I think one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is take care of yourself and maybe do the work yourself. Because I know that there's stuff that I'm learning about myself that are triggers, or that I've grown up thinking it was one way, but it's not that way. And so I think it starts with you, just like people who are struggling, it starts with them, right? To take initiative. But the other person, for me anyway, I keep reminding Michael that I'm not here to judge him. I'm here to support him. I'm here to love him. I'm here open arms. I'm not going to shame him. I'm not going to say you can't feel that way, because every emotion and everything that he goes through is 100% valid. Whether or not I can understand it, that's another story, right?
Right.
But it's just making sure I'm there.
And Michael, what is Nicole verbalizing that out loud, that's kind of support? How has that helped you and what does it mean to you?
It's different because, like I've never had it, right? I've never really had somebody that's really been there who understands me like Nicole does. So I think having that understanding over, the 13 years that we've known each other, it just helps our relationship grow so much more, right? Like, the challenging times that we've had this year where, maybe she didn't understand, but through over time understood more, and was it hard for me? Like you said, like, yeah, like it's shameful with, if I'm running back to the room where I know it's peace and quiet, there's nobody there, I can calm myself down, right, and then come back out. Yep. Like I always have to have that little area where I can just go and regroup. And me too. And it's life-saving. And, back to Nicole's piece, I knew she was doing it, and it was so funny. She obviously, she was saying, she's like, I'm nervous. And I was just like, what, just say, like, talk about
be you. Yeah.
Yeah. Just be your authentic self.
Yeah. And it shined a light on what you probably get a lot like I do, which is our parents coming up to me in airports or on the street and saying, they're not necessarily saying, I struggle. What should I do? I have a problem. They have a child that they're worried about. They have a son that they're worried about. So essentially they are that support role that you are, Nicole. And by you shining a light on the importance of that role is just so important to this global discussion that Michael's already on this crusade to destigmatize mental health and all those things. This is such an important cog in that mental health wheel. So good on you, young lady.
Thank you.
Way more important than 28 Olympic medals by far.
I agree.
I hate to say that, but I think this mental health fight is. I think that his legacy will be greater because of the mental health passion that he has.
Yeah. But we can't do it without you, like we all need you. I wondered how you discuss this stuff with the kids. They're young. Do you, and what do you say?
I'm very vocal in making sure that the kids are aware that maybe Michael's having a rough day, especially Boomer as he gets older. It's important for Boomer to learn that it's not about him and that he didn't do something that made Daddy feel this way. It's Daddy having his own stuff. Mm-hmm. But we do as best we possibly can to get the boys to express what they're feeling. It's really hard given their ages, right?
Right.
But making sure that they recognize, I have an upset tummy. Well, are you upset about something, or did something happen at school? Or so we work through it that way too, so that when we do say, hey, Dad's having a really tough day today, and I need you to give him a little bit of space. We're going to let him go back to his bedroom and take some time. He'll come rejoin us when he's ready. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know if that's right. I'm not a child therapist, right? So I'm just doing what feels right. But I think the biggest thing is validating everybody's emotions. If it's Michael's, if it's Boomer's, and I think that's one of the biggest pieces. But
also you're talking about it. That's what nobody's been doing. Nobody's been talking about it. Michael, myself, for 20 years, I've probably suffered in silence and opted not to talk about it because I didn't know what the heck was going on. It felt broken in my brain. I didn't know where to begin. So the conversation, whether it's through a personal connection with mental health or a support connection or our family unit, our spouses, our children, at least we're talking. And sure, maybe not saying the exact right thing, but I commend you so much for communicating, because I think kids intellectually rise to the challenge, right? I talk to my kids like they're 21-year-old friends from college, and I just kind of hope that they pick up on it.
Right. I think talking about it young, they kind of get it.
Yeah, but Michael, don't you guys teach them some like physical strategies? Like what is the lion's breath?
A lion breath is simple. It's just a deep breath. And at times, if they're feeling super high anxiety or they're frustrated, you just let out a gigantic roar. So, there is a lot of roaring in the house at times when there's
I'm going to do a lion breath. Show me how to do it. I just breathe in and then
and it's just, good. I mean, it's yeah, right. Like it just lowers your shoulders so much. So, you know, I actually find myself doing that on the golf course more when I find myself having a two-way miss. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to settle myself down? Just take a deep breath. Yeah. Like, I just feel like there's a super big weight lifted off your shoulder and you're able to be your authentic self. And I think at the end of the day, that's what you're fighting to do.
I have to say, Michael, you obviously are the most decorated Olympian of all time, the 28 medals, the 23 golds. I wondered, in lieu of your life recently, you've accomplished so much. What is your greatest accomplishment?
Honestly, I think it's yet to come, but I think honestly, it's part of being a dad. Like Nicole said something to me the other day about, I've gotten better with each kid, you know, like more calm, I guess you could say, more patience, so you will, with each kid. So, you know, I think that's part of it, is that, you know, with everything growing up, you know, the kind of lack thereof, you know, I think that's something that I want to make sure I'm always there, and they always have somebody to look to. So sometimes I'm hard on myself about that, harder than I should be, but that's why I am who I am. So it's a process.
Right.
You know, for so long, I was this championship swimmer, right? All these gold medals, world records, but that is a piece of who I am, but that's not who I am. So it's trying to find that person and be comfortable with that person. So along that journey, yes, I you know, I obviously struggle with mental health, and that's something that for me has almost been enjoyable to talk about. It's challenging. It's super hard, but you know, once you talk about it, it
feels good.
Yeah, it does. And it's the more you talk about it, the more you feel relaxed, the more you feel like something is let go, and you just feel, I mean, I don't know if normal, or like you feel I guess that's the best way of saying it. And you know, that's what I strive to reach every single day. So I want to help, as you know, save as many lives as I can.
Buddy, you're doing it.
And that's we're doing it. And I think that's you know, that's one thing that, you know, we all should look at, because, you know, we're all struggling. Nicole is struggling from what I'm, you know, things that I go through, and there are others that are, you know, in her shoes. So, you know, it's important to take those breaths. It's important to take a step back, you know, slow down time as much as you can.
Yeah, which is ironic coming from a man who spent his entire life trying to gain 1/100th of a second on a competitor. Now all of a sudden you're trying to slow down. Is that hard?
If I can figure out how to do that, I will definitely let you know. I have to pull a complete 180. So right. If I can figure it out throughout my lifetime, I'll give you a few tricks.
I'll tell you what, also the idea, it's okay to not be okay. Normalize this conversation between husband and wife and kids and friends and comrades, and we're all in this sucker together. So thank you both so much. Really more you, Nicole, than Michael. Michael's, you know, okay, but you're really, I love the conversation lane that you are providing now for families. It's really important and it's beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Carson.